Guys, be releasing more documents and text messages.
Justin Baldoni just unveiled a brand new website loaded with hundreds of pages of documents. And then came the courtroom drama. Baldoni's lawyer was spotted leaving the courthouse, fresh from a heated pre-trial hearing, where Blake Lively's request for a gag order was denied. What was expected to be a routine legal session instantly turned into a spectacle.
Sometimes people judge you before they give you a chance.
The courtroom atmosphere shifted in an instant. This wasn't just another legal dispute, it was a full-blown battle. Many thought the gag order would pass without issue, but instead, it was shut down, leaving Blake's team scrambling. Some insiders even speculated that her attorneys had arrived with an entirely different strategy, one meant to take control of the narrative rather than just defend. But the real shocker? Blake's team has a deadline: Valentine's Day. By then, they're planning to strike back, but no one knows exactly how. That single detail sent the rumor mill into overdrive. Reporters scrambled for answers, but both legal teams stayed tight-lipped. Whispers spread that Blake's side was secretly gathering statements and pushing for sworn testimony from undisclosed sources. Meanwhile, Baldoni's attorney, Fredman, made a brief statement to the press, standing firm that his client would be vindicated. But beneath the legal posturing, one thing was clear. This battle was as much about controlling public perception as it was about the law. Would that strategy pay off? That remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, the intensity is only escalating. Speculation ran wild. Just how deep would this battle go? And more importantly, who else might get caught in the crossfire? By the time the hearing wrapped up, one thing was undeniable. This was only the beginning. The fallout from this case wouldn't just stay within the courthouse walls, it had the potential to shake up everything. But the real shock, it wasn't just the legal fight, it was what surfaced next. Scathing remarks, buried within transcripts, seemed to take aim at people once seen as trusted allies. And one particular exchange set the internet ablaze. What started as a casual discussion about script revisions suddenly turned into a flurry of accusations, claims of sabotage, betrayal, and secret agendas. On the surface, these individuals had always presented a united front, but these documents hinted that fractures had existed long before anyone realized. So, what was this really about? Was this a desperate move to clear Justin's name, or a carefully crafted attempt to drag others down with him? Either way, it left everyone questioning just how much of Hollywood's glitz and glamour was real, and how much was pure illusion. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any messier, Baldoni's website dropped one last twist, a cryptic note in the footer teasing even more explosive uploads in the coming weeks. Every move felt calculated, like a high-stakes chess match where no one could predict the next play. But for those thinking that was the biggest shocker, they clearly hadn't heard about Ryan Reynolds' jaw-dropping change of heart. Ryan Reynolds and Justin Baldoni weren't just acquaintances, they were friends and collaborators. In the early days, they were spotted together at fundraisers, charity events, and behind-the-scenes gatherings, always speaking highly of one another. Ryan even publicly gushed about Justin, calling him a wonderful collaborator and praising his passion for every project he touched. At the time, it seemed genuine. After all, the two were constantly seen sharing smiles and warm words. But then, boom, the entire dynamic shattered. Private messages, allegedly from just months later, surfaced, and they painted an entirely different picture. In these leaked texts, Ryan reportedly went so far as to call Justin a deranged predator. That phrase alone shocked fans who had always believed their friendship was built on mutual respect. It was a complete 180. Instantly, everyone wanted answers. What changed? Did Ryan discover something disturbing, or was he pressured into this sudden shift? Speculation ran wild. Some believe this fallout was over creative control. Others suggested something much bigger, a controversy brewing behind the scenes during the final stages of a project. And the real conspiracy theorists? They claimed Ryan's reversal was orchestrated by a rival faction, a strategic move to drive a wedge between Hollywood power players. But while that mystery was unfolding, Blake Lively was making moves of her own. She wasn't just fighting for herself, she was reportedly working to protect those closest to her, especially Taylor Swift. Word spread that Blake was pushing for a special protective order, one designed to keep third parties out of the legal battle. The implication? If granted, this order could shield big names from being dragged into the legal firestorm, including anyone who had ever texted, emailed, or confided in the wrong person. And the moment Taylor Swift's name entered the mix, public interest exploded. Fans demanded to know, was she unknowingly caught in this web of Hollywood chaos? One thing was undeniable. Blake Lively was ready for battle. She wasn't just fighting for herself, she was determined to shield her inner circle from unwanted scrutiny. But the question loomed. Would her protective measures be enough, or was this just the beginning of a much bigger war? For those glued to the daily revelations, it felt like a fuse had been lit, and the spark was inching dangerously close to a powder keg. And then, a new twist emerged. The role of the intimacy coordinator suddenly took center stage, hinting that this drama ran even deeper than anyone imagined. On the surface, an intimacy coordinator might sound like a routine behind-the-scenes presence, meant to ensure safety and professionalism during sensitive on-set moments. But insiders claimed this position had become a major flashpoint, where creative control, personal boundaries, and even hidden tensions clashed behind closed doors. One meeting in particular stood out, an important discussion where cast members gathered to address potential concerns and ensure everyone felt comfortable. But guess who was nowhere to be found? Blake Lively. Her absence raised eyebrows instantly. Some brushed it off as a simple scheduling issue, but others weren't so sure. Was it a personal choice, or was something unsaid driving the decision? Whispers of awkward encounters and buried tensions began swirling, fueling theories that this was the moment where things really started to unravel. Critics of the production pointed to these behind-the-scenes moments as proof that something bigger was bubbling beneath Hollywood's polished PR spin. Meanwhile, Blake's supporters insisted she didn't need a refresher. She already knew the rules inside and out. But by this point, the conversation had exploded into something far bigger than a simple on-set disagreement. Now, even lesser-known crew members were being pulled into the fray, questioned about everything from their NDAs to the exact length of private meetings. Nothing was off-limits anymore. And the deeper people dug, the more it seemed that something huge was waiting to be uncovered. No one could have predicted that cast and crew testimonies would only add more fuel to the fire. And what made it even messier? Some of the same people who had once rallied behind Justin Baldoni were now caught in a whirlwind of contradictions. Take Brandon Sinar, for example. He had worked closely with Justin and had publicly described him as nothing short of warm and collaborative. According to his account, the set was a dream. No tension, high morale, and a completely supportive environment. It painted an almost idyllic picture, one that stood in direct contrast to the explosive messages later leaked online. Those same individuals who had praised Justin in public, behind the scenes, their private conversations suggested something else entirely. In these texts, some seemed deeply concerned, while others outright distrusted him. And the reason? Many claimed they felt pressured to put on a happy face in public, terrified of what might happen if they didn't toe the line. This raised serious questions about just how much of Hollywood's so-called harmony was real, and how much was just another carefully crafted illusion. But Justin wasn't the only one with mixed narratives. Blake Lively, too, had a reputation for being a welcoming presence. Crew members raved about how she'd bring in small gifts, plan casual gatherings, and lift spirits on set. Yet, here she was, now leading a fierce legal battle, reportedly preparing to release documents that could seriously damage certain reputations. The contrast was staggering. So, what was the truth? Had all these glowing remarks been just another Hollywood survival tactic, empty compliments meant to protect careers? Or had there once been real goodwill, only for it to be shattered by secrets no one was ready to confront? One thing was clear. This situation was anything but black and white, and with every new revelation, the lines between truth and deception only blurred further. People who once laughed together on talk shows were now speaking only through lawyers and highly polished legal statements. What started as celebrity gossip had evolved into something far more serious. With every new revelation, it became painfully clear this wasn't just about Hollywood drama. It was about power, influence, and the dangerous game of reputation management, where one leaked document or a handful of text messages could shatter entire careers. And if the personal stakes weren't high enough, the broader implications were even more unsettling. Some began to suspect that this case might change the way Hollywood handles internal disputes forever. Blake's request for a protective order, one that specifically aimed to shield third parties like Taylor Swift, only reinforced the idea that no one, no matter how famous or seemingly uninvolved, was entirely safe from getting dragged into the chaos. Meanwhile, all eyes were locked on the looming Valentine's Day deadline. What would happen when Blake's legal team finally struck back? Many speculated that once the counterattack was filed, the floodgates would explode open, revealing even more text exchanges, secret transcripts, and potentially damning depositions. Would suppressed emails surface? Could there be unseen video footage waiting to rewrite the entire narrative? And if so, who would be left standing when the dust settled? But the biggest question wasn't just about the next round of leaks, it was about the long-term fallout. Stars like Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are used to controlling their public images. They have massive influence, carefully curated reputations, and access to elite PR teams. But this felt different. Could even they escape unscathed? Would major studios risk hiring actors embroiled in a public legal war? And most importantly, how loyal would fans really stay once the full truth came out? As the world obsessively watches each fresh leak, one thing is crystal clear. This storm is nowhere near over. In fact, it may just be getting started. Justin Baldoni's entire stance, laid out in a carefully constructed website and hundreds of pages of legal documents, makes one thing crystal clear. He firmly believes the truth is on his side. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds' sudden shift from praising Justin as a trusted collaborator to publicly condemning him hints at major tensions that may have been simmering for far longer than anyone realized. And then there's Blake Lively, who has proven she's more than willing to defend herself and her brand, even if it means dropping a legal bombshell right in the middle of a highly publicized courtroom showdown. But perhaps the most baffling piece of this puzzle is the glaring contradiction between those glowing cast testimonials and the behind-the-scenes turmoil that paints a very different picture. The very same people who once gushed about camaraderie are now caught in a web of private text messages and tense legal maneuvers that tell a far darker story. At this point, everything about this case, public endorsements gone sour, legal moves to shield one of the biggest pop stars in the world, and a behind-the-scenes script that reads like a Hollywood thriller, paints an undeniable picture. Tinseltown is a place filled with secrets, shifting alliances, and conflicts lurking beneath the surface. The big question now, can any of these relationships ever go back to what they once were, now that so much damning evidence has come to light? Maybe this is the ultimate warning for everyone in the industry. In the digital age, there's nowhere to hide. Not even for A-listers. Relationships built under the glare of cameras can collapse in an instant the moment doubt takes hold. And if there's one thing we've learned from this unfolding drama, it's that not even fame or fortune can protect you when a battle this explosive ignites. And yet, the biggest bombshell may be just around the corner. The countdown to Valentine's Day is ticking, and the next reveal could be even more earth-shattering than anything we've seen so far. And make sure to subscribe for more on the latest celebrity news and all the behind-the-scenes drama. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.